Before you can begin writing your novel, before you can create your characters, before you can know what setting you are going to use, you first need something to write about. The obvious question for most writers is, how do I know if I have the right idea? Time for another of my little tales. A man by the name of Frederick got into a heated argument one night with another man, which escalated to where Frederick shot the other man dead. It turns out that Frederick was quite loved and respected by many of the residents of that small town of Templeton, and the other man no one actually knew of. But on that fateful night, a woman by the name of Loretta, under a doctor's care, had just returned from refilling her prescription when she saw the two men arguing. What she saw next put her into a psychotic frenzy, not believing what she had just witnessed as the shot rang out and the other man dropped to the ground. Since Frederick was so loved, when Loretta showed up at the police precinct that night to give a detailed account of what she witnessed, the police, as well as Frederick's family, convinced her that she hadn't exactly seen what she thought she had. It took some convincing, but after several hours, they had convinced Loretta that she hadn't seen Frederick kill anyone. But as soon as she announced that she didn't see what she thought she had, the police, as well as Frederick's family, completely shocked, tried to convince Loretta to change her mind back again and say that she did see Frederick murder the man after all. Today, I'll talk about how you can ensure that you have the right idea for the story you want to write, and then I'll tell you why they desperately wanted Loretta to remember the truth. Even if you're the type of writer that is able to sit down and just start writing, forming your plot and characters as you go, you first need an idea. I should really say a good idea, and not just any good idea, the right idea for you. To begin with, you need to understand that ideas are everywhere, good, bad, and indifferent. No matter where you go and no matter what you're doing, your mind is constantly bombarded with ideas. Let's think of ideas as wild concepts that are floating all around you at any given moment. Think about how radio waves are all around us but cannot be seen unless properly engaged. Ideas, by the same token, are disregarded until they are engaged. But it's important to understand that even though ideas or these wild concepts are everywhere, they are more prominent in certain places than they are in others. The mall, downtown train station, downtown city street, a cruise ship, amusement park, and countless others. But then again, depending on how intensely you look for them, ideas for your story can be found anywhere. Let's look at ideas a different way. Think of ideas as 100 chickens running toward you. Your objective is to catch as many as you can. With so many to choose from, you are unable to concentrate and end up overwhelmed from trying to catch more than you can handle. Even while the first 10 pass you, you don't even attempt to turn and give them a second look because you are thinking about the other 90 chickens you still have to choose from. Then, by sheer luck, you manage to grab hold of one of the chickens. But with your enthusiasm to catch one of the many others still approaching, you attempt to grab another, but instead of catching more, you end up dropping the one you had already caught. Had there been just the first 10 and not the other 90 chickens to choose from, you would have probably been content with catching and holding onto just one. You see, this is the difficulty a writer may experience looking for ideas at a crowded place full of ideas like the mall or an amusement park. You will find yourself bombarded with so many ideas that you may have difficulty in choosing a good one and disregarding the rest. While choosing a good idea, you need to be able to tune out all of those wild concepts and zero in on the ideas that will be good for you. I know, easier said than done. While you are flooded with so many potential ideas, being able to separate the good ideas from the bad can sometimes be frustrating. Now, I just said separate the good ideas from the bad. Have you ever heard the saying, there's no such thing as a bad idea? That's because it's true. Another saying, one man's trash is another man's treasure. My point is, what might be a bad idea for one person may actually be a great idea for someone else. The same holds true for the fact that you may come up with a story idea that you believe is gold, but someone else might just think of it as no better than trash to them. This is because ideas are of a personal nature. A good idea is a good idea because it's a good idea for you. Try saying that 3 times. Good story ideas are personal because they are relatable to you. They mean something to you. Let's go back to our 100 chickens. But this time, let's say one of them has just stolen your alarm clock. Now you have a direct connection to that particular chicken because you need that alarm clock to wake up for work. It's suddenly become relatable. The other chickens offer no interest for you, only the one you can relate to, and that's the one you try to catch, if for no other reason, to get your alarm clock back. While sitting downtown watching all those people walk in and out of the many stores, to you, they are like the 100 chickens running past you. A pregnant woman and her husband walk into a baby store. You have an idea of a story about a couple going through the ups and downs of having a child. But since you're single and actually hate kids, that idea doesn't work for you. You see a woman coming out of the pet store with the cat she has just purchased. You suddenly get the idea of a story with a little girl who's overjoyed to find her mother has bought her a little kitten for her birthday. But you can't see that idea going anywhere since you're allergic to cat fur and you still don't like kids. Then you see a group of kids picking on a young boy. They have him encircled and have taken away his school bag, having fun as they pass it back and forth while he tries to retrieve it. You have an idea for a story about a child who grows up being bullied by a group of kids in the neighborhood. This idea works for you. It is an idea that you know that you can develop into a good story because you can relate to it. You were bullied by a group of boys as a child, your reason for hating children. Where another writer might not find the value in such a story, you know you can turn it into an insightful novel. Seeing that boy being bullied by the group of kids would be like seeing that chicken running off with your alarm clock. The idea catches your attention when the other 99 ideas floating around you at the mall offer little interest. To answer the question, how do I know if I have the right idea? Only you can answer that. Because only you know if the idea that you have is going to work for you. Here's an example. John Grisham, a lawyer who became a best-selling author of novels like A Time to Kill, The Firm, and Pelican Brief, all turned into high-grossing movies. And Michael Crichton, a doctor who wrote bestsellers like The Andromeda Strain, The Lost World, and of course, Jurassic Park. From both authors, when they first had the ideas for their books, they knew they were great ideas for them personally. But they might not consider the idea the right idea if, for instance, John Grisham, who has had much success writing about law because of his background, came up with the idea of Jurassic Park. Couldn't really see a raptor in court with a stegosaurus. Or Michael Crichton having the idea of writing the Pelican Brief. I have a feeling that from the mind of Michael Crichton, the Pelican Brief wouldn't end up being the legal suspense thriller we know it as, but instead, maybe a story about a prehistoric pelican that, after being the subject of a gene splicing experiment, attempts to rule humankind. Writers write in their personal comfort zone. With the multitude of potential ideas floating around you at all times, you will never be starved for a good idea. Even a bad idea for you can be turned into a good idea for you with the right amount of effort. But since, like I said, there are a multitude of potential ideas out there, why give yourself more work than necessary? Take the easy approach. Choose an idea that you know you can turn into a good story with little effort. And now I'll tell you the ending of the story I call I Remember It the Way You Told Me I Did. It turns out that Frederick didn't actually have any family of his own in Templeton. The family that had stood in his defense were his in laws. He was married to Angelica, the daughter of the wealthiest man in town, and they defended him because they didn't want Angelica to go through the embarrassment of seeing her husband sent away to prison for killing a nobody. But it was when Loretta announced that she was mistaken and she hadn't seen Frederick kill the man or the woman seated in the car across the street that they realized that they had made a grave mistake. You see, Angelica was having an affair with the stranger Frederick had killed out of jealousy and then walked over to the car where Angelica was waiting and shot her dead in the heat of the moment. Loretta saw the whole thing, and her eyewitness evidence would have been enough to put Frederick in prison for the rest of his life. But since the police and the family had done such a good job of convincing Loretta that she hadn't seen any murder, she finally agreed with them, believing that she imagined the whole thing, and Frederick went free. Thanks for watching, and if you found anything I said beneficial to you in any way, hit that subscribe button because you never know. My next video might just be helpful too.